There is no doubt at all that Darwin was right, that evolution happened, that we are descended from simpler animals, that we're descended from bacteria ultimately, that we are cousins of chimpanzees, cousins of monkeys. Darwin wasn't right about everything. I mean, he got his genetics wrong. There wasn't enough known about genetics at the time. But the essential point that we are direct cousins of monkeys and kangaroos and octopuses and bacteria is beyond all possible doubt. If you look at the way animals are dispersed on islands, on continents, they are in exactly the places you'd expect them to be if evolution had happened. Why are the islands around South America populated by animals that are South American except with minor variations? It's exactly the way you'd expect if animals occasionally drift across from the continent to an island and then start evolving, start changing once they get there.
Dr. Stephen Moses of the University of Colorado is examining some of the planet's oldest rock here in Greenland at the top of the planet. When Earth was originally formed, it was a ball of molten rock, so hot no organic materials containing living organisms could have survived. As it cooled, the Earth would have consisted only of sterile oceans and barren rock.
The early Earth's surface was not rich in organic compounds. It was a surface that was dominated by compounds that are not particularly helpful to get life started.
And if no organic material could exist on such a barren planet, life on Earth may have started elsewhere.
My personal opinion is that since space is so rich in these organic compounds, it must have played a role.
The evidence to me that just cries out that there's a God is the study of DNA. DNA is a very powerful, massive information storage system. In fact, DNA that makes up our genes actually is like books of information that's read by a language system. It's absolutely phenomenal. And scientists know today that languages, a code, only come from an intelligence, and information only comes from information. Nobody's ever seen matter by itself give rise to a code. Nobody's ever seen matter by itself give rise to information. And as you look at DNA, it actually cries out, in the beginning, God created the universe.
We know nothing about God and the world at all. All our knowledge is but the knowledge of school children. Possible we shall know a little more than we do now, but the real nature of things, that we shall never know. Never.
Astronomers have mapped a giant structure made of dark matter. It extends almost 60 million light-years out from a huge galaxy cluster and is our best glimpse so far of the scaffolding that gives the universe its large-scale structure.
Now, in its very early years, the universe was extremely smooth and uniform. There were no stars and no galaxies, and all of the matter was distributed throughout the universe very, very evenly. Almost perfectly so. But not quite. Even back then, there were tiny variations in the density from place to place. And over time, these tiny fluctuations grew and condensed into a web-like pattern that pervades and gives structure to the universe of today. Formed of vast filaments and sheets of dark matter, this structure is known to astronomers as the cosmic web.
What is real? How do you define real? If you're talking about what you can feel, what you can smell, what you can taste and see, then real is simply electrical signals interpreted by your brain.
In interpreting the visual image, the brain has to resolve ambiguities. And in doing so, it uses all sorts of assumptions, built-in assumptions about the world. And because it uses all these assumptions, which we can investigate in the laboratory and discover, you can also trick the visual system. And this is what you call a visual illusion. This is the M's room. It's a grotesquely deformed trapezoidal room. But the astonishing thing is, if you look inside the room looks completely normal. And the walls look parallel and everything seems fine. The reason is that the brain has a built-in assumption that the walls of rooms are usually parallel. This is something we've grown up with all our lives. And this assumption is so strong that it completely overrides the fact that people are actually changing sizes. Even though in the real world, obviously people don't change sizes like balloons, here you're willing to see that because the assumption of parallel walls is much stronger.
Do not try and bend the spoon. That's impossible. Instead, only try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon?
Then you'll see that it is not the spoon that bends, it is only yourself.
The Oracle will see you now.